A lot went through my mind. I was actually on a place where Jerry West loved to be. I was on the golf course this morning, and I've been rocking a little Grateful Dead, just thinking about Bill Walton.
Yeah.
When I'm on the golf course, I still think about my relationship with Bill. And when I heard the news, it was just a lot of sadness, first of all, and then my memory bank started to crank up of the first time I met Jerry West and the faith that he had in me. He created my career and really jump started, and is the main reason that I had a berth in the NBA. I mean, he had told my college coach Dean Smith that he was very interested in me over guys like Ralph Sampson and Dominique Wilkins and Terry Cummins. He had a foresight of seeing things before it happened. Everyone was talking about wanting Kobe Bryant maybe after 2 or 3 years of college. And Jerry was like, no, I want him right now. And so a great player. I saw him in the early 70s, right before he retired. And then an exceptional, just the best GM of knowing how to put things together. But then after you got to know him, he was just a sweetheart of a guy, very introverted, lost his brother in the Korean War and never got over that. Wow. Just, very depressed at times. But the last 10 years, he had really started to reveal more of himself. Wow. And I got to know Jerry over the years. We have the same initials, JAW. And he really knew how to be a loving, caring man, whether it was basketball or life. And he did so much for people, time, money, donations, that he would never want anyone to know about. And that's just the kind of guy he was. And that's why he's the logo and probably the one person that's had more impact on the NBA other than any player, GM, or contributor.
James, what made him so good? I mean, not just to put your team together, the Showtime Lakers, to win the 5 championships in the 80s, but then to have the foresight to know Kobe was going to be the player he was, and to make that trade on draft night, and to to bring Shaq in, to put those two guys, Shaq and Kobe, together, to have that success. I mean, 2 dynasties after being a 14-time All-Star as a player himself. What, if you can describe it, what made him so good as a general manager, as a front office executive?
I mean, he's the only one that I know that could do, what he did, and what he was doing. Red Auerbach, in the 50s and 60s, in a hostile, radical town of Boston, little Jewish guy said, I don't care. I want the best players, and Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Sam Jones, and Jerry is the only one that I knew that had that kind of foresight and insight, and his ability to see through people. And you couldn't mess around, you couldn't bullshit with Jerry.
Yeah.
He was brutally honest, and he looked you right in the eye and tell you all the things you didn't want to hear, but was true. And you could just walk away as a man, or
Was that tough sometimes, James?
Yeah, it was always tough. It was always tough. It was never, pretty.
Right.
But after you thought about it, and I remember, I was just starting to gel with the Lakers. It was like year 3. Man, I was on that fast break with Magic. Pat Riley was giving me more minutes, and Jerry was just never satisfied because he knew there was more in me. He was like, we only got you on contract for 2 more years. And I was like, what does that mean? I mean, like, he just knew that he could push you to a place. And, he sent me to Pete Newell's big game camp, and I got my footwork and my jump shot. And then after you get to know him for a while, he talks about life and what it was like for him coming out of a small town in West Virginia. We share so much similarities and how we entered and where we ended up. So I just loved him after I really got to know him and talk to him. We talked about a month ago about getting together and just, for dinner or something. He and Bill Burtka, who's an assistant coach and 95 years old. We're talking about, maybe trying to see him.
Wow.
And so it was just tough to hear it. But I just got so many really solid memories
Yeah.
um, to honor him. I just love Karen and Ryan and the family. And so, yeah, he'll be missed, man.
Yeah. It sounds like he had been making plans for the future. Is this something that was expected, James, or was this a complete shock when you find out on Wednesday that Jerry passed?
Well, I knew, a year and a half ago, he had some medical issues, and I think he'd had a couple of surgeries. I was, had talked to Karen, his wife, and he'd been getting updates, and I'd see him out at a public event. I think I saw him at a banquet or something, and uh, knowing Jerry, I could just tell that something had changed. And I think, sometimes when you have difficulties that he's 86 years old and God, he looks so hot and sexy still.
Right.
Uh, but he was just a cool guy. And I knew that he had some health issues, but I thought was working his way through them. And sometimes it's just the unknowns that you don't know about. But 86 years old,
Yeah.
same age as Chick Hearn, 86. But it's a tough loss. I have a lot of feelings for Jerry. So I'll miss the guy.
I know, and I'll get you out of here. And I know, busy today, James, and thank you so much for doing this. I think anyone would have drafted you would have been a great player, an all-time great player. How much of a difference, though, do you think, getting drafted by the Lakers under Jerry and his tutelage, how much better of a player did that actually make you versus if you would have went, I don't know, and where else, the Knicks, wherever
Yeah,
else it might have been.
I probably could have scored more points. Maybe been the highlight of the team.
Right.
And I don't know if I'd have won any championships. All the people that got drafted after me didn't get championships. Dominique didn't get one, Terry Cummins, Ralph Sampson, nobody got one. So, Jerry West knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing when he brought AC Green in here. He knew what he was doing when we needed someone to play against Kevin McHale and brought Michael Thompson here. He's always, he's the one guy that said, "Hey, we'll take Kobe right now. We don't need to wait."
Right.
He just, Vlade Divac. He just knew players, and he could look at you for 5 minutes and tell if it's somebody you needed. So he's responsible for me being here talking to you right now. I mean, I don't know if I'd have gone to Cleveland, we'd be talking, or I'd have any championships or All-Star, or none of the things. It all happened with him. He put me into a puzzle. There was a piece missing, and he slid me right in there. And it wasn't stardom, or I wasn't starting. It wasn't like I was the guy.
Right.
But I ended up, being
Yeah.
Big Game James because of him. So it's just funny how people like he and Bill Sharman, of course, but Jerry West had the pulse of players and success, and he knew that at some point, if he kept pushing me, that I would give him what they drafted.
I know I said that was the last one. One more, I promise. I can talk to you all day about this, but it was the last one. Most you see a lot of great players. He was a great player that they it doesn't translate to coaching, front office. Maybe it's because they can't understand why the players aren't as good as they could be, and it's hard to sort of teach those things. How is he one of the only guys that could be great as a coach or as a player rather, and also that carry over to the bench and then to the front office?
Well, he hated coaching.
Did he hate
hated
coaching?
coaching. No, he hated coaching. That's why he gave it to Jerry. That's why he gave it to Pat Riley. I think he did it for 3 years. I don't know if he hated it, but he knew
Right.
that wasn't for him. But
Right.
as far as playing the chess game, okay, checkmate. I got Magic over everyone wanted Sidney Moncrief.
Yeah.
or David Greenwood right out of here at UCLA. And Jerry was
Right.
like, no, 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 let me. And so
Trust
he knew what he was good at, and he knew what his value would be.
me. Yeah.
Where the Lakers, Memphis, Golden State, Clippers. He just and very innovative in rule making and how the game was shaped over time. I mean, you're talking about a guy that played in the '60s, GM'd in the '80s,
Yeah.
then made that transfer into the Millennium Players, and
Yeah.
still standing at 86, still sought after.
Right.
I don't know of anybody that's ever done that.